Coming up on Tech News today, it's Geek Pride Day. Also, guess who's buying the Opera software company that makes your favorite browser? Also, Google kind of buys Palm from a certain perspective, and an 80-inch Windows tablet. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Geek Pride Day, Friday, May 25th, 2012. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring all-electric and hybrid electric technologies. Learn more about the technologies Ford is bringing to its vehicles at Ford.com/technology. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And we are bringing you the freshest tech news we can at the time at which we are recording the show.
It's fresh squeezed tech news.
Yeah.
Picked it off the trees.
Artisan tech news.
Exactly, and it's organic and it's safe and free of pesticides.
So you're saying that today we gathered to the tech news and now we're delivering it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a titan of old, we straddle the entire North American continent today with Sarah Lane in New York City.
Hello, I am on the beat. Memorial weekend is hot and sticky, and the tech is going wild, so it's going to be a pretty fun show.
Hey, happy Geek Pride Day, everybody.
Woohoo!
You too.
I'm wearing my There's No Place Like 127.001 shirt.
Oh, that's funny because on Hacker Pride Day, we've upgraded to IP6, and it says there's no place like : :1.
I need a new shirt.
Yeah.
My shirt's going to be obsolete soon. All right. Let's start off with an email, actually. We got an email from Steve Edwards, who is sitting on the beach in Worthing, UK, Europe, the world, and writes, "Hello, TNT crew. With the release of the new Facebook camera app, I started thinking about my iPhone and the main standard apps and functions on that. Facebook pretty much has them all covered. The easy ones are Messages, Facebook Messenger, Camera, Facebook Camera. And once you start to think about it, the other standard functions on a smartphone, such as Contacts, Calendar, Photo Gallery, Facebook has equivalents inbuilt that easily could become standalone functions. The back end's all there. Didn't they have a deal with Spotify? They even opened up the App Store for Facebook. They're getting cozy with Bing on search, possible Skype integration there. They've got apps now. You already have your own Facebook email address. They've got an ecosystem. The only thing they don't have directly is a dedicated Facebook browser. My guess, within a year, Facebook will partner with HTC or similar and gut Android a la Kindle Fire and produce a smartphone with their own apps. It'll be one way to monetize mobile now that they've IPO'd.
It's an interesting idea, but they have to buy a browser. Is there a browser out there for sale?
Well, actually, yes. According to PocketLint, Facebook is looking to buy Opera.
The Opera software that makes the Opera browser, which is pretty popular on mobile platforms as Opera Mini. It's also available for like pretty much every platform out there. And this is from one unconfirmed source.
A source, well, they didn't say unconfirmed. PocketLint says they have a source that told them that Facebook is actually in talks with Opera. Another source, a separate source, told the Next Web that Opera has a hiring freeze and is talking to potential buyers. That source didn't mention Facebook, but the two rumors together sort of triangulate on maybe a little more confidence in this sort of thing. Addie Robertson at The Verge notes that this actually fits in with other rumors of a Facebook-centric phone that we've been hearing about, with Opera Mini supplanting the default Android browser. And that goes right back to our emailer. What Steve is describing could be what actually takes place. They take an Android operating system on an HTC phone, and they replace it with an Opera browser that they own, put all the Facebook apps on there, boom. Facebook ecosystem. It's actually kind of frightening.
Yeah. Well, and then Opera also gets to say, like they do with so many other features, hey, we're the first to be a social network as well as a browser, as well as have tabs, as well as the
Forget you, Rock Melt. We're doing it right because Facebook bought us.
Already, Tom.
What?
Everyone already forgot Rock Melt.
But I'm just saying that there were other browsers that tried to do this.
Sure.
I don't know that Facebook, even though they could build it right in their Facebook and it would be Facebook branded, would be more popular as a desktop browser But I absolutely see this working on a mobile platform that's a Facebook-branded platform.
I guess here's the thing. If you want a Facebook phone, you've already got to accept that. So if you're the kind of person that's like, I want my phone experience tied in with Facebook, just like, say, an Android phone is tied in with your Google experience or on iOS with your Apple experience, then yes, that could be pretty compelling in that Opera does have damn good technology, and it'd be cooler than just going with whatever's off the shelf when you say, integrate something from Android off the shelf.
Yeah, I was thinking about why would they bother to buy Opera instead of just going with a WebKit and just come up with their own version of a browser. One, the research time, but the other thing is if that's open source, they got to give it back. And Opera's got both parts. It's got proprietary technology that they don't have to give back to the world, so they can have some integrated features that would be separate and unique to their own browser and their own mobile OS.
Yeah, but I don't think that's as compelling as your first point, which is that they don't have to do the work. I think that's the biggest thing, is saying, look, we'll get a good, tested, solid browser with lots of great features and an amazing team, and we don't have to build it up.
Yeah, I mean, Opera is crazy standards compliant all the time. This is one of the reasons. This is one of the things that Opera users like me are beating their heads about. They're like, "Hey, look, this is really great. You should try it. It's great." But I don't know. I wonder if it's going to alienate Opera users if they see Facebook on this. They're going to be like, "Well, this is this kind of like insular little community. We're kind of like, okay, we have all these cool features and it's fun." And then you're like, "Facebook's on this. What you do to my browser? Are you spying on me now?" I think that's going to be the other fear. If they have a browser and it's Opera, I think Opera users are going to get pretty alienated pretty fast.
Yeah, I don't know that I see a lot of crossover between the Opera and Facebook markets necessarily, but Facebook doesn't care about that. And we will see if Opera cares about that or not. Tourist in the chat room says, why wouldn't they just buy webOS from and use that from HP? Turns out that Google sort of already bought webOS, kind of.
Yeah, webOS, which is dead, sort of, or open source.
It's open source, not dead.
That's right. It was almost killed like 15 times. It just has like 9 lives. Excuse me, not 15, but 9 lives. Last night, The Verge reported that Google hired away members of HP's Enyo team, including its senior director, Matt McNulty. Now, Enyo is webOS's HTML5-based application framework, first seen on the doomed touchpad, which lets developers create apps that can run on any platform and could create either mobile apps or apps for the web. And All Things D reports that Google had picked up the team person by person. They didn't like haul in everybody and go, look, we're trying to hire all of you guys away.
They did it dodgeball style, right? Where they're like, you, my team, maybe not you.
Something like
that one guy it's like showing up at work at HP, like, where'd everybody go?
It's not the entire team. Apparently the team that they did get, that Google did pick up, they're responsible for like 99% of this particular project. So there's like 1% that's still sitting at HP. I'm not sure what they're doing all day. If you're concerned about the future of HP's open-sourced webOS project, HP told The Verge that the open webOS project is on schedule. Now, the team that's joining Google, what they're going to be doing is not public yet. Nobody knows what they're going to do. But all signs point to either Android or Chrome OS. Maybe that's where they'll end up.
I mean, assuming that HP isn't just paying us all lip service, is it reasonable to assume that the project is pretty much done and they don't really need that many more people in order to roll it out?
I don't know if it'd be done. I mean, like, I would think that HP has an interest in trying to keep webOS somewhat, I guess, alive because they killed it so fast. They ended it so fast.
They didn't kill it. They open sourced it. That brings new life into it. And if it wasn't for things like that with like Netscape and Gecko, we wouldn't have things like Firefox today.
I think it could be also part of HP's restructuring plan. They don't want to pay these guys and keep them around. They let the open source community take care of all the development, and they don't have to pay them anything.
Well, in February, they let 275 of them off the hook or otherwise fired.
By the way, The Verge reporting that the HP employees that are left are hastening to say that the majority of the engineering and leadership team remains and that it is redoubling efforts to continue development. Everything we've learned from sources in the past day suggests that the Enyo members most heavily invested in the platform have indeed left, but it stands to reason that the remaining folks want to defend their job, writes The Verge. This is from Chris Ziegler, and he's a guy who knows this stuff. So obviously there are still people there. It's not one guy left in an empty office. You're still going to see webOS development. But yeah, I think it's a smart move on Google's part, and it could even be coincidence where they just interviewed a bunch of people, liked them, and said, oh, look at that. They happen to all have worked on the Enyo project.
Or I wonder if...
that's handy.
Isn't one of the top guys at Android, Matthias Duarte, used to work at Palm? Is he one of those guys who's going to be like, I know these guys. I used to work with these guys. We should go get them.
No, that absolutely works that way. We're like, oh, yeah, I can vouch for him. He's good. Oh, and he's good, and she's good, and she's good too. Yeah, hire all those guys.
Like I said, dodgeball.
Yeah, it is kind of like dodgeball. Let's move on to the successful docking of the SpaceX Dragon capsule.
Woo-hoo! That's right. The Dragon capsule from SpaceX just became the first commercial craft to berth with the International Space Station. See, earlier this morning, the Dragon performed several of these engine burns and stops within varying distance from the Earth-facing side of the International Space Station. And after a bunch of planned and unplanned maneuvers, it reached within 33 feet of the station, at which point the capsule was grabbed by astronaut Don Patetit?
Well, he didn't reach out and grab it.
He did. He reached out and grabbed it with a robotic
that guy's
arm.
Hardcore.
Like Canada Arm 2.
Don Pettit, yeah.
Yeah. See, Canada is representing on the ISS with the Kung Fu grip.
They're used to the cold.
Yeah. And so they move it over to the Harmony module, which is kind of the main module that everything connects to on the ISS. And it's going to be hanging out there for a little while. The astronauts are, gathering supplies from it. It's carrying 1,100 pounds of stuff. It's got a payload of 7,500 pounds of stuff. So it's going to hang out for almost a week before it comes back to Earth with some, unnecessary stuff. So it's bringing back some Earthbound cargo. And on the return trip, it's going to splash down 250 miles outside of the coast of California in the Pacific. And this is pretty cool. This is the second test flight of the Dragon, the third overall flight of the the Falcon 9 rocket. And it's pretty cool because if this mission is successful, then this proves and basically certifies the Falcon 9 and Dragon system to do regular cargo deliveries. Otherwise, the third test will be scheduled for later in the summer.
So this was sort of like their doctoral oral exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
NASA just threw stuff at them. All right, try this now.
Yeah. They had to hang out 800 feet from it, and then they were like, okay, come forward a little to 720 feet. Now go back. And so they had a couple of things.
Now do a barrel roll.
Oh, barrel roll.
Now somersault.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you guys all following the SpaceX Twitter account this morning?
Definitely.
It was so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was really into it. Everyone who's part of that project is really, really proud. And a lot of the people who are kind of space fanatics who have felt, that things have been a little lackluster. And, a lot of the government sanctioned projects have shut down. That it's we're in space again. This is exciting. It's been fun to follow along.
Well, this is 8 years in the making. I mean, these proposals came out in 2004. It was a bid between, them and I forget the name of the other. But then this came about again in 2007. And so it's awesome to see this really, doing well. In fact, I think, if anything, the fact that this is the second mission of the Dragon. There was actually supposed to be 3
There's
missions
so many good
before it
movie
was
titles
certified.
Here, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
Flight of the Dragon, Mission of the Dragon,
right?
Birth of the Dragon.
But NASA took missions 2 and 3 and turned them into one mission. And so I think, if anything, that really just speaks volume in that they're confident about this system. So if everything really goes well, then that's going to be awesome that we're not relying on just the Soyuz to resupply the station.
That just sounds so awesome. The future is we're going to have, I think, we're going to have space tourism, and it's actually going to happen. This thing's working. I'm that's what I was looking at the story. I'm like, this is actually happened. This is great. It looks like sci-fi stuff that's going on. And I'm like, I might be able to go traveling into space relatively soon.
It's got a huge pressurized and unpressurized part of the whole system here, and it could potentially take 7 people up if necessary.
The point is to actually resupply the International Space Station.
Yes, I understand the point.
The tourism is a little farther down the line than maybe you're implying.
Yes. Well, there's Virgin Galactic. They have their crazy plans.
Gotcha.
But I mean, they sounded crazy to me when I first heard them.
Yeah.
But when things like this work to the standards of NASA, that is a really encouraging step.
So much less expensive.
Wait, you're saying the government did something better than private enterprise, though. I don't think you want to say
I'm not going to say anything to that comment.
What are you, a birther? Do you believe that the Dragon capsule birthed today with the International Space Station?
Yeah.
I'm not touching this. Football.
Yeah.
Or space arm.
But it did.
Hey, it demonstrated its space kung fu grip. Go Canada.
Let's take a break. Let's give a little space to this conversation. This episode brought to you by Ford, featuring all-electric and hybrid electric technologies. Ford's got 2 great new electric vehicles that they're talking about. The 2013 C-Max Energy plug-in hybrids coming next year, and the 2012 Ford Focus Electric, which is up for pre-order right now. Both models make use of regenerative braking, so 90% of the kinetic energy that's normally lost in a conventional engine when you apply the brakes, it's just lost. It's friction, it's heat, it's gone. It's out of there, gets put back into your battery for later use. It includes unique sync with My Ford Touch EV features to help you maximize your range, a suite of driver information systems. You're going to feel like you're on board some kind of rocket. You can help manage the recharge process, determine the most eco-friendly driving routes, remotely control vehicle charge and preconditioning settings, monitor battery state, maximize your energy efficiency. You're the commander of your electric car. It's a unique execution of sync in there, too, with My Ford Touch Driver Connect technology optimized for electrified driving, for configuring vehicle information like fuel level, battery power level, and average and instant miles per gallon. The value charging powered by Microsoft allows you to reduce your electricity costs by telling you when the off-peak or reduced rates are coming. There's so much technology packed into this car, and it's an all-electric vehicle. The 2012 Ford Focus Electric has no gas engine, fully charges in 3 to 4 hours through a 240-volt home charging station. You got to check it out. So go take a look at your local Ford dealer. 100% electric, zero CO2 emissions. The 2012 Ford Focus Electric, as I mentioned, available for reservations now, and the 2013 Ford C-Max Energy plug-in hybrid coming in fall 2013. Of course, these specs are subject to change with the production vehicle. You keep up with the latest. Learn more about the electric technologies Ford is bringing to its vehicles at Ford.com/technology. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Google has added a new part to their transparency report where they try to explain how they do what they do. This part tells you what private companies have requested links be removed from the Google search engine on copyright grounds. And a few interesting facts have come up here. Google takes down 250,000 search links each week for copyright concerns, more than the total number they took down in 2009 every week. So things are accelerating. Average response to a takedown notice is 11 hours. However, Google's senior copyright counsel, Fred von Lohman, stressed that the majority of the takedown requests are legitimate. These are not necessarily people just misusing the system. There's just a lot of copyright infringement happening on the internet. Google says they respond to 97% of the requests by using a combination of algorithms and humans to validate them. And those 3% that they don't respond to are ones that are frivolous. They're not actually identifying copyright infringement. The thing that's getting the most attention today, though, is Microsoft leads the way among copyright owners in asking for things to be taken down at 536,716 requests in the report. And TechDirt decided to see if any of those 536,000 links are also on Bing. In other words, did Microsoft remove them from their own search engine? They found one to an Xbox game. It was actually a link that had been requested to be taken down by Marketly. They're a third-party agency that does this on the behalf of other companies. Wired looked at this. They found another one, also from Marketly. Everybody's going crazy saying, aha, see, Bing is not taking down links that Microsoft makes Google take out of their search engine.
What, like Bing is trying to position themselves as the pirate's search engine? I think we already had hastalavista.box.sk.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to use Bing if they are that savvy.
Why would Microsoft want Bing to be equated with piracy? I don't understand the logic there.
I guess the idea would be to appeal to a larger base of people. I mean, like if this is the Bing and decide concept, I guess when you decide to pirate, you decide to go to Bing. But
I don't think they would.
This theory
right,
doesn't make any sense as well because we have Microsoft is a content producer. They have deals with all the every software publisher that makes a game for the Xbox or for Xbox gives them they get money for that. So they don't want pirated games necessarily out there anywhere or access to that. So for the theory to be that Microsoft would increase their market share of Bing at the expense of their Xbox division, which has been quite profitable and done very well, just seems extraordinarily crazy.
Yeah, well, first of all, this is 2 links out of 536,716. So the percentage is almost statistically negligible that there's any intention here at all. It's probably that Bing's takedown requests are processed in a different manner and a different rate than Google, which they are. Yeah. They're 2 different companies.
I mean, Google says they take down an average 1 million links per month of, based on takedown notices. And that's, human powered. Those are actually people going through and taking it down. I mean, that's quite a bit of, that's a lot of manpower there. Maybe Bing just doesn't take down things as fast. They don't have the kind of volume or they don't have the kind of staff. I
think that Bing is not intentionally not taking things down. And I think it does make a good headline to be like, hey, let's check and see. And if they had found a good dozen or 20, and if they still do, as they plow through these, and it becomes a pattern, then I think it becomes an interesting story. Not so much that Microsoft has some conspiracy going on, but that Bing isn't very good at getting rid of infringing links. But that's not the story now. Let me hasten to add, this doesn't prove that in any stretch.
I know, but it's what people jump to, especially after the stories of, say, Bing copying Google, where like Google artificially poisons their search results and then says, "Aha! Look, Bing's got which we put in our database just to see if you were copying
That is a technical term. Darren is an expert.
How do you spell that?
It's Russian.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm using ASCII. I can't write it down.
It's binary. All right, let's move on to the video of Google's Project Glass that's making the rounds, Sarah.
Okay, so if you haven't seen this yet, it's a 15-second-ish video of someone on a trampoline. You don't actually see the person. You see their POV from being on the trampoline, which is pretty cool, I guess. You just have to believe that they're actually wearing Google glasses. They're doing some backflips. It's pretty awesome. So this video is 720p, and presumably this is the kind of thing that you could get away with if you wanted to take a creative video that didn't require you to hold anything or strap anything to you. You're just wearing the glasses. The Google Glasses is getting some buzz this week. Actually, Google had its photographers conference, the Google Plus Photographers Conference. Part of that conference was a photo walk. Bunch of people went out on a walk wearing their Google glasses. There's actually a post on G Plus that includes a lot of headshots of various folks in the Google Plus community. Trey Ratcliffe, our very own Trey Ratcliffe from our Variety Hour, was one of those lucky people who got to wear his glasses. There's a nice picture of him. But also there's a photographers conference itself where Vik Kundotra told people, he kind of repeated what we've already heard, that the glasses are not supposed to interfere with anything. They're going to be designed to just kind of be almost invisible, except that you'll be getting information out of the corner of your eye at all times. So it's very exciting. I mean, when I first saw the video, I don't know about you guys, but I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, it could be anything. I believe that it was taken from Google Glasses, but it's not as if that's like video that you couldn't recreate in a different way with maybe some duct tape and an iPhone. Yeah,
the bouncing on the trampoline, I mean, that just shows that somebody actually is taking a video with Google Glasses.
And we still don't know if like the glasses would be self-powered, which is a big part of this. You see that and you're like, cool, all you're wearing is glasses and you took this awesome video. Less cool if you've got to attach it to something for power.
I thought the video from the photo conference was really interesting because he talked about the fact, and this is something I'd thought of, that it's not just about, every photo I take can show both my hands because I don't actually have to hold anything. It was, you can have a more perspective of the photographer than you can have when you're actually holding the camera. So, and the picture that we've got now in the video is of a football being thrown to someone. And yeah, both hands are there because they're getting ready to catch. But that is a picture you could not take with a camera.
Right. I think it's more so than, like, think about this, right? So what camera do you use on a day-to-day basis?
My iPhone.
Your iPhone, of course. And so, like, I know a lot of us use our phones as our day-to-day camera because it's the one that you have on you. But if the one that you have on you is literally on you, then that, like, changes a lot of things. I mean, for example, just earlier today, a Lockheed C5 was circling our office in Point Richmond, and I pull out my phone and I grab a shot. But had I had it right, like had I been wearing Google Glasses, I would have already had it.
Now, a lot of people in the chat room are screaming, the GoPro does this already, the Contour HD does this already, but that's...
Does what already?
This idea that you can wear a wearable camera. It's kind of like a lipstick-style camera that you can keep on you.
Sure.
However,
okay. Good point.
Google is presenting something different. It's not necessarily this idea of, you can wear this with your helmet. It's this very, very sleek execution of this, and that's the difference here. Now, again, this can be done now, but the idea that you will be carrying a GoPro on your head and a helmet or wearing it attached to your glasses versus that Google thing.
Yeah.
Very different.
No, it's a really good point that GoPro actually can have that same perspective, but to Iyaz's point, it's not the same use case.
Right. It's just integrating into your life, like you were saying, Darren. The camera you have is the one you're wearing.
Yeah.
much. It seems lighter. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I don't want to wear a GoPro everywhere.
You just
I go.
put it on. You've always got
glasses already on.
Not to mention, in a strange way, the GoPro is a little bit different from the perspective of the viewer. The glasses are right above your eyes, and I know it's a subtle difference between right above your eyes and a GoPro on your helmet, but it actually is a difference that when you're trying to kind of represent the perspective of the wearer, that actually does make a difference.
Well, there already are glasses. You can go and buy sunglasses right now that have a little pinhole camera in them and that record either pictures or video to a micro SD card. Those exist.
I think we're losing sight of the idea that.
But that's not Google Glasses. That's not. You're going to get a little heads-up display in your periphery
and an automatic upload from the glasses.
And that's what it is. Here's the other reason. Why do I use? Actually, okay. So C5 is buzzing my office, and what do I grab? My
note.
My neck or not? I'm sorry. My DSLR. Or my phone. Well, my phone, because I just want to be able to grab this and tweet it, put it on Google Plus, and then I had to go. I had to get up here. So. I want something that's internet enabled, and so that I think is another huge part. And like you said, sure, the GoPro and the Contour and stuff, you can have that, but they're
what about
not.
seeing all the other stuff?
These Google Glasses could be so good for, how we're all trying to strap on technology to our bodies in some sort of a way to help measure what we're doing all the time. Think if you could Yeah, exactly. Think if you exactly. Actually, think if you could load up like a trail, right? So you're like, okay, I'm gonna run to the top of Mount Tam and back on the the fire trail type of a thing, and you've got a bunch of information in the corner of your eye as you're actually running along. It's giving you stats as you pass certain landmarks,
elevation,
or go up a certain elevation. Yeah, that
how
would
far
be so
you've run.
Fun for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool.
I'm sure Google's thought about all of this stuff, but that's where I can see these sorts of things as long as they can stay really sturdy. What are you guys laughing at?
I'm laughing at Vonks in the chat room. He put warning: upcoming branch.
Yeah, the information is really detailed with these
Black
things.
bear, female, mad.
You know what this reminds me of, for better or worse? It reminds me of Strange Days. In a strange way, even though Strange Days is tapping into all of the sensations, it's really kind of the same thing, right? In a certain sense, I could see this extended. I do.
You bring it up all the time.
I do love that movie. For some reason,
happened, Jason. That was 2000,
and he could watch it on his Google Glasses too. That's the
true.
whole time, all the time.
I don't know. It's similar.
Past.
I could see it evolving.
No,
to something
I see what you're talking about. That sort of tapping into your brain, except
and sharing your experience with somebody else.
No, that's a good parallel.
I think Loki had that in Freedom TM.
Let's move on from Google Strapon to Steve Ballmer's 80-inch Windows 8 tablet. Neo Win.
Is that an 80-inch tablet in your pocket?
Neo Win got a hold of some leaked specs for a Dell tablet. This is not Steve Ballmer's yet. The Dell Attitude 10 is a 10.1-inch Windows 8 tablet with dual-core Clover Trail, 128-gigabyte solid-state drive, 1366 by 768 resolution, an optional fingerprint reader, a removable battery, too. So Neowin says they hear this is going to come in fall or November. This is a damn fine-looking tablet.
Sign me up.
From Dell. 10.1-inch, nice resolution. Let's see what price it is.
Dell made
How
the
much is it
mistake.
going to cost?
I don't put it past them. They make good hardware.
Well, let's see. They're usually enterprise focused, and that's probably why they went with an Intel chip instead of with AMD. I'm thinking probably under $1,000 because it's the first generation of these things. Not under $1,000. I have to see a head shake.
Just what are you hating on AMD for?
No, I'm just saying that Dell works on the enterprise. That they are integrated with businesses. It's a smart move. If when I was reading this, I was like, what processor did they go with? If they went with an ARM-based one, that would have surprised me for the launch because that's the limited functionality. You don't have the full desktop, and then Dell has to do all the work of explaining. Yeah, enterprise, you can kind of use this, sort of, maybe on Thursdays, but with an Intel chip in there, it's like, look, it's a full-on tablet. It runs everything you used to.
Thursday.
Go for that. So that's the way it's going to work. But yeah, that's what I was looking at.
No, I totally hear what you're saying, and you're right. I mean, that is a big distinction in that it's x86, so it gets the job done. And when it comes to getting the job done, I'm so sorry, but Windows is still just dominating that.
Speaking of getting the job done, you were wondering about Steve Ballmer's new Windows 8 tablet. It's an 80-inch Windows 8 tablet in his office that will be up for sale, maybe.
Dude.
Microsoft's Frank Shaw told Wired UK that Steve Ballmer got rid of his phone. He's gotten rid of his notepaper. I think he means his desk phone, not his cell phone. But anyway, and he's got this touch-enabled 80-inch Windows 8 tablet in his office, hung on the wall. And Shaw said it's a device we're going to sell, saying Ballmer uses it as a whiteboard, as an email machine. He uses it for everything. Microsoft hastened to clarify to The Verge, it won't be selling an 80-inch Windows 8 display itself, but they think vendors will have a wide range of use cases for Windows 8.
Oh, please. See, I like to think of it as Ballmer actually got rid of his cell phone, and I'm almost thinking about the same thing. I'm sorry, but Galaxy Note, you're not big enough. I'm going to need a radio flyer to just, tote this thing behind me, but I'm looking forward to it. The 80-inch tablet. Oh, yes.
I can't wait to see that sight when you're on your motorcycle.
Sidecar.
Your 80 a sidecar for your 80-inch display. I mean, Microsoft has. We've seen this with Surface, right? You can buy Surface tables, and that would be the clarification. Microsoft is not going to sell this thing directly, but the idea that you will see this on CNN, or some other these big television networks.
You had it. You're right. Surface. Yeah, because Surface is like the quote-unquote big-ass table that it's like really deep, and this is like saying, hey, we had an 80-inch touchscreen that's like not a big-ass table. That's awesome.
Well, they just made.
Iyaz, you don't think that people in large enough companies where they would have a really big conference room where this would come in handy would be able to buy something like this?
I think they would be able to. I just don't think it'll be through Microsoft because I think this is really going to be a specialized tablet PC that just happens to be gigantic.
I think what Frank Shaw was saying is there's a manufacturer out there who's going to sell this.
It's not us. That's
so
all.
You can have a Windows 8 tablet hung like Steve Ballmer in your office, and you will be buying it not from Microsoft but from somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's the way it's going to go. And again, watch on CNN and everywhere else. Maybe in the back of the TNT set, we'll have this giant 80-inch Windows 8 tablet.
All right, let's move on to news views. That Tim Cook, he's such a nice guy. He eats with random employees at Apple, and he just announced that he's declining $75 million in dividends. Apple CEO owns over 1 million shares and would receive $2.65 a share, but he's turning it down. No catch. He's just saying, no, I will not take the dividend. I won't take the money.
That's good for morale.
I guess so, yeah.
According to an FCC filing, there are 36 entities interested in purchasing Verizon's 700 megahertz spectrum. The sale of the spectrum is part of Verizon's acquisition of spectrum from the consortium of cable networks called Spectrum Co. The acquisition is currently awaiting approval from regulators.
Apple's trying to put the spotlight on certain apps in its Mac App Store and iTunes by introducing Editor's Choice Picks. Apple is also offering up paid apps for free as a part of its App of the Week promotion. Now, there's no word whether that App of the Week promotion will be continuing.
Adweek reports that NBC is looking into buying Microsoft's share of its joint venture MSNBC. NBC already owns a majority of the MSNBC television network, but the site is still shared. The deal could be set by this summer.
Last fall, Eric Simmons needed a new place to live after getting kicked out of his posh place known as AOL's Palo Alto campus. Daniel Turdeman at CNET wrote this up. Simmons had been living in AOL offices after he was granted access to buildings via a mentorship program. He managed to stay fit using the building's gym and eating free food for 2 months.
It's amazing.
That's crazy.
The Chronic Dev team released an untethered jailbreak for iOS 5.1.1, which means that new iPad users and iPhone 4S users can do more with their devices. However, jailbreak doesn't work with second-gen iPads, which use a 32-nanometer chipset. Doesn't work with
it's
this
a really
jailbreak.
small subsection. NVIDIA is bragging that its Tegra 3 processor will power 30 smartphones this year. Last year, NVIDIA's Tegra 2 processor powered 15 devices. The company also said it's working on Gray, its next-generation processor that combines its Tegra 3 processor with its LTE technology, Icera, on one chip. So we're going to get a quad-core LTE NVIDIA soon.
Hey, Iyaz, when's that 7-inch Google Asus tablet going to be launching anyway?
I would have to guess. Well, I should ask Digitimes.
Yeah, well, Digitime's actually saying that beginning of next month and puts the launch in July. Originally, the tablet was actually going to be launching in May, but the product needed to be tweaked just a bit. And so, none of this has been confirmed by Asus or Google, but time will tell.
Giant human beings, this tablet could be for you. ViewSonic released a teaser for its 22-inch smart business tablet monitor.
80.
It's no Steve Ballmer. It appears to run an ice cream sandwich. ViewSonic will demo the tablet and other new multi-touch monitors at Computex, which starts on June 5th.
What is the point of that?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's for giant human beings.
It's sad. ViewSonic's feeling all proud of themselves, and then they come out with this story about Steve Ballmer having the huge 80-inch tablet.
But this is portable. You can't really.
That's right. Don't
forget the 80 inches. You got to carry a power supply there.
22 inches is barely portable there. Let's move on to the randomizer.
Randomizer.
Ars Technica has a fantastic story about tape storage. Wait, no, don't stop the show. This is a supercomputer that will be built with 380 petabytes of tape storage.
Sign me up.
According to Computer World, the National Center for Supercomputing Applications, NCSA, is building a storage infrastructure. It's all to support the petaflop scale Blue Waters supercomputer. It just goes to show tape lives.
380 petabytes. That's a lot of pedophiles. And actually, you know what this does is this reinforces what Andrew Tannenbaum said in the 1996 issue of Computer Networks, which was never underestimate the bandwidth of a station wagon full of tapes hurtling down the highway.
Yeah, that's right. That's
everybody
who's throughput.
Everybody's crowing about SSDs or like, I'm going to have this perpendicular thing on these platters. Forget it. Tape.
The station wagon lives on.
Can't be tape. I remember having my own tape drive.
Well, because the station wagon doesn't want to haul SSDs or spinny disks, as I like to call the other ones.
SpectraLogic is the company supplying the tape drives and said, we're going to stay in business. Actually, they're probably in good business. Tape drives are used in enterprise all the time. Blue Waters will take a couple of years to scale up. Ultimately, it will become one of the world's largest active file repositories stored on tape media. But they're going to be rolling in it, selling this much tape to a supercomputer. That's why
I like it.
Yeah, capable of a read-write speed of up to 2.2 petabytes per hour, too.
Wow.
So it's not slow. 2.2 petabytes per hour. What's that per minute? I don't know. I'm not going to do the math right now. But you into this, Sarah Lane? Geek Pride Day? You into some tape storage?
Yeah, so much of my computer experience was with, stuff that was actually using tape. And just my kind of like, since we're celebrating Geek Pride Day and everything, it's like I have a soft spot in my heart for things that are tape-based.
You should have that looked at.
Well, we should just celebrate 640.766444 gigabits per second.
That's what it is?
That's what it is.
Okay,
just
nice.
Letting you know.
I like it. All right, let's check the calendar, Sarah.
The All Things D10 conference is kicking off next Tuesday, May 29th, and they have quite a few really cool speakers. For example, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, that's
I've
their
heard of
opening
him.
speaker.
He's that new guy.
He has yet to prove himself. But Aaron Sorkin is going to be there too, of course, who's making the movie
Tim's
about
old boss.
Apple.
Yeah.
Right. Twitter is going to end Sumify service on June 22nd. If you're not familiar with Sumify service, it was an email digest that Twitter picked up recently, highlighting the top stories from Twitter, Facebook, Google, etc. Obviously, Twitter recently rolled out their best of Twitter email digest, so they're not really interested in giving people the latest from Facebook and Google as well. So you still get the Twitter digest, you just don't get the rest of it. So enjoy Sumify while you still can. And that's all.
That's it. That's all that's going on.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's other stuff, but that's all that's fit to podcast.
Well, here in the United States, it's Memorial Day on Monday, so we will not have a tech news today. I guess that could go with the calendar as well.
People should know that. Don't tune in. Or do. Watch a really, really awesome rerun.
Don't freak out when we don't have a new show on Monday. That's all we're saying. Let's check what's incoming.
Incoming message.
We have a voicemail about our randomizer from yesterday involving chipping or barcoding babies.
Hi, this is Alex. You talked about this one barcode per child thingy, and I'm glad to inform you we have that already, every one of us. It's called DNA. Everyone has a different DNA, and you can't fake your DNA. Not while it's on your body. All you need is a database with all the DNAs of all the people, and you're done. Simple, fast, easy.
I think the scanning of DNA is not fast enough to work in this situation of, if I just want to go in and use my ID to purchase something, scanning my DNA is not very efficient, but it could be.
It'll be faster to chip somebody than
Yeah, definitely.
People are yelling in the chat room about twins. Twins have the same DNA. And actually, I looked that up because I thought about that this morning, actually. And according to some studies, they don't, because there are some environmental things that change that can actually make your DNA different, even if you're an identical twin.
Transposons.
Well,
what if you're a clone? A clone would have the exact same DNA.
No, but there's still those environmental factors that Iyaz is talking about, the transposons that actually change your DNA over time.
To the point, well, like, I guess for a certain amount of years, before the changes, I guess they could be the same. But after that, and I guess when you're an adult, it wouldn't be an issue. So
I think it's pretty fast, even as a child.
It's actually when you're a fetus, so it's pretty early.
So what about social security numbers? I mean, twins don't have the same social. And, I mean, like, you could QR code that.
We tattooed that on your back.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Nice QR code.
Thank you.
That'll look great when you're 70.
I only showed half of it.
QR code.
George Wood, by the way, Radio Sweden, said, I thought we were already all born with unique personal barcodes called fingerprints. Fingerprints are actually less unique than you think. Because there have been instances of fingerprints being duplicates.
That was another thing I looked up this morning. Twins can have different fingerprints as well. So I guess that
twins can, but there's
other.
It's very rare.
Those are also really easy to clone with gelatin.
Yeah. They're much more spoofable than DNA.
Yeah.
Not that DNA isn't spoofable. I just need little skin scraping and
Tom.
All
inappropriate. Yeah. Totally inappropriate.
All right.
This is not why I show up at TNT.
Haven't we all seen the movie Seven? You can get around this whole fingerprint.
Right.
Oh, I was thinking Gattaca.
Well, I'm thinking I'm ready for a 3-day weekend. So that's it for this episode of Tech News Today. Thanks to folks for submitting at our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com. And you know what? I should do this more often than I do. I'm going to try to do it every Friday. But a huge thanks to our moderators in there, TD Enterprise, Kilda, and I'm still trying to load the page. So I'm going to make sure I don't forget one of our moderators. But they do a great job of keeping that thing cleaner. Jacob Miller is the other one. Sorry about that, Jacob. Keeping that thing cleaner than any Reddit I've ever seen. You guys do an awesome job. So get in there and submit stuff. Submit some stories. Vote some things up or down. We look at it every day to help determine what goes in the show. What's coming up on Hack 5?
Well, when you SSH into your server, do you want to use a single factor of authentication like your password or your public key, or do you want to use 2 factors of authentication?
Of course,
maybe something
3,
you are,
but 2's good.
Something you have, and something you know. Well, if you have a YubiKey, you're going to like this episode because we're showing how to SSH right up into your heart with one of these guys.
Into your heart?
That's the way the song goes.
Oh, nice.
All right.
SSH my... Oh, yeah, right.
SSH
okay.
right into your heart.
I'm catching up. I heard Shannon sing that song.
Yeah. Maybe at DEF CON.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. Don't forget to submit your favorite moments of Tech News Today to TNT at twit.tv. Use the subject line Best Of. Helps us put together our Best Of show at the end of the year. So if you've liked anything this week, let us know. And let us know the episode number and the number. Also, you can give us a call. 260-TNT-SHOW is our phone number. And you can find us on the web to download our episodes. TNT is at twit.tv/TNT. You can watch live 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern every day. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Sorry about that.
We were dancing this whole time.
I was dancing.